Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel. In this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. And first of all, we're going to start with the southern area. Today the Russians reported that they managed to repair and to restore traffic on the Crimean bridge, which is very important to support the normal level of supply of this area. Furthermore, the Ukrainian sources published very interesting video. This is the video of the marine ship that was damaged by the Ukrainian, or to be more precise, by the missile Storm Shadow of United Kingdom production. According to this video, we can see that the ship was damaged heavily and the Russians gonna need a lot of time to repair it. Furthermore, the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation published another video how the Ukrainian Navy drone was trying to attack the Russians. This video was published by the Ukrainian sources. And as you can see, according to this video, the Russians were attacking, and at some point this Navy drone was destroyed. If you want to hear my opinion, I would say that it is very difficult to attack and counter-attack the Navy drones, and I believe that if the Ukrainians used 100 drones, so let's call it a number of 100 drones, obviously they would achieve a success and they would destroy a Russian ship. It's just a question not whether the Ukrainians are able to do this or not. The question is how many boats, how many Navy drones the Ukrainians are going to use for this or that attack. And I believe that they're going to increase the number of this. Now we are moving to Kherson direction. Today we got probably one of the most important updates. The Ukrainians announced massive evacuation. Every single settlement with the blue circle and yellow star inside is the settlement which should be evacuated immediately. It's obvious and 100% evacuation. And this is very interesting because, as we can see, the Ukrainians are trying to evacuate the area. And if we increase the numbers of updates from the same territory, let's say from the beginning of August, we're gonna see that the Russians were bombing this territory heavily. As you can see, a lot of Russian bombings, a lot of updates. The only area with complete absence of bombings is the area between probably Kazatskaya and, let's say, Zolotaya Balka. But when talking about the area between Novokakhovka and Kazatskaya to the south to Kherson, this area is under very massive attack. And the question is why the Ukrainians took a decision to evacuate this area. I'll remind you that since the beginning of the special military operation, we had three, including this one, we had three obvious and most 100% evacuations. The first evacuation took place in Zaporizhia area in the vicinity of Tokmak, like Lugovo, the settlements that, according to the Russians, the Ukrainians are supposed to attack, and the Russians got 100%. And they evacuated the area, and currently the Ukrainians are attacking in the area without population, though, because the Russians announced evacuation. The second evacuation took place in Zaporizhia area. Also, the Ukrainians evacuated the settlement starting from Kharkiv area, from the northwestern part of Kharkiv, and almost to the settlements like Berestova, Stelmakhovka, and so every single settlement along the combat line was evacuated. And when talking about the first case, we know that the Russians expected the Ukrainian attack, and that greatest offensive operation, started on the 4th of June. When talking about Kharkiv, we also understand that according to the Russian sources there is offensive operation, and probably this is the reason why the Ukrainians announced evacuation. Another reason is that Ukrainians need some space, need some buildings for redeploying of their forces to stop the Russian attack. So this is also a reason of evacuation. The question is, what is the purpose of Kherson evacuation? There are like two things come to my mind. First of all, one more time, let's increase since the beginning of September. We see the Russians attacked, and we discuss almost every single day these explosions with 500 bombs. From one side, as I understand, the Ukrainians need also some space. They need to stretch their forces among buildings. Currently, they don't have these possibilities. They can concentrate forces in 1, 2, 3 buildings. And as I understand, there are a lot of people who support Russians, provide information like to evacuate the entire region without people who can provide information to the Russian sources. And this is the reason why to the Russian sources. And this is the reason why they took a decision to evacuate the entire region. And this is currently what we're trying to do. And from the other side, we understand that that means that Ukrainians have concentrated significant number of forces. The question is, what is the purpose of this concentration? Whether the Ukrainians are planning to cross Dnipro River and try to attack the Russian positions, or it's just like an attempt to force the Russians to concentrate or redeploy some reinforcements and reserves in this direction, just to be 100% sure that Ukrainians can't achieve any success during the landing operation. Anyway, this is a very tricky step from the Ukrainian side. We'll see what kind of results the Ukrainians are able to achieve by this. Now we're moving to Orekhov Square, Bradley Square. Today we got some geolocated videos. The Russians continue bombing and attacking the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are not making any attacks. They haven't made any attack against the Russian positions. They continue their concentration, and the Russians from their side attack the Ukrainian forces in Rabotino, in the fields between Rabotino and Verbova. Some sources reported that Ukrainians made few attempts to attack Verbova, and all those attempts were repelled by the Russians, and the Ukrainians, having significant losses, were forced to step back. On this video we can see how the Russians discovered the Ukrainian forces entrenchments, and after that they start bombing and shelling them, and as you can see, according to this video, these trenches are located very close to the settlement. When talking about Evacuation tactical bridgehead, today we got more details, more geolocated videos of clashes that took place a few days ago. The Russians destroyed significant number of armored vehicles. The Russians destroyed significant number of forces, Ukrainian forces with FPV drones. All these videos took place after the main days of battle, and this is like the videos when the Russians were just doing their dirty job by destroying those who managed to survive, those who managed to retreat, to evacuate wounded soldiers, and so on. Now we're moving further to Artyomovsk, to Bakhmut direction. Today we got also a lot of very interesting updates from this area. If you remember, yesterday we discussed that Ukrainians, according to the Vice Minister of Defense, Deputy Minister of Defense, reported they managed to establish control over the entire settlement. After that, the 3rd Brigade Azov, 3rd Assault Brigade Azov, reported that the Ukrainians didn't capture, establish control over the settlement. And today in the morning, one more time, we got another confirmation that the settlement was captured by the Ukrainians. But yet we haven't received even a single video or photo confirmation about that. So that's why we will keep this area as is, under Russian control. If the Ukrainians are able to provide some video or photo, then we will color this territory into yellow color or something like this. But the Russian sources have already reported that either Andreevka and part of Klishchiivka still under Russian control. So yet there is no obvious and like 100% sure information. Very interesting details we received from Razdolovka Soledar area. The Russian sources published the video of a very fierce battles and clashes in this direction, and currently it's very difficult to understand whether this battle took place somewhere in June, July, or maybe or August, or maybe this battle took place a few days ago, because I don't remember this video before, but there was, according to this video, there was a very fierce clashes in the vicinity of Razdolovka. The Ukrainians managed to accumulate significant armored fist, and they launched their offensive operation in direction of Soledar, in direction of the settlements in this area, and basically the Ukrainians were completely defeated as a result of artillery strikes, as a result of FPV drone strikes. Significant losses, a significant number of forces were destroyed and basically buried under the ruins and under these like grass and trees and tree lines in this area. Very interesting video, of course. It would be nice to know the date when exactly this battle happened. So for now, just like we're using just for learning purposes, to understand that something very big have happened in this area, but currently unknown when exactly did that happen. And that's it for this short video. Military Summary channel. Remind you, condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, show my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.